for joining us today. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our speakers Vivek Belankar and Girish Mittal. Uh, this webinar has been organized by Moneylife Foundation's RTI Center. Our primary goal in this RTI Center is to spread financial literacy and also help spread awareness about the RTI Act to help empower citizens and make the government accountable to us, the citizens. And before we begin today's webinar, I would like to spell out a few ground rules. First, we have kept all of you on mute during the session for the benefit of all involved. We'll unmute you during the question and answer sessions. For optimal viewing, we request you to use the speaker view on Zoom. This meeting is being recorded and would be uploaded on our YouTube channel, that is youtube.com/MoneyLiveTV. So you can watch it again. During the question and answer, request all of you who wants to ask a question, use the hands button available on Zoom. Also, please feel free to use the chat session to share your comments, questions, and observations. But my sincere request would be to send it in the public forum or to everyone. Request you also not to send us a private messages so that because we will not be able to monitor all the messages that come to us on our personal messages. Also, please note that your homes and backgrounds are visible to everyone during the webinar. So in case you wish to protect your privacy, then I would request you to stop video button on the Zoom. Use that stop video button. In today's webinar, I will introduce our speakers. Then both speakers will speak for 20 minutes each, and then we'll open the session for the question and answer. Let me introduce our speakers now. Mr. Vivek Belankar is an RTI activist from Pune. He is also the president of Sajak Nagrik Manch in Pune that works on citizen and civic issues. In addition to educating people, Mr. Belankar also carries out various campaigns related to social issues using the RTI Act to ensure effective governance. Mr. Belankar has also been a prominent figure in the field of career guidance and counseling for many years. Our next speaker is Girish Mittal. Mr. Mittal is a graduate engineer who runs his own software company, which specializes in mathematical and statistical modeling, working with various clients in India and abroad. He has been an activist in effective implementation of RTI Act. He has been specially working for transparency in banking and financial institutions. May I now invite our first speaker, Mr. Girish Mittal. Girish, over to you.
Thank you, Yogesh, and thank you, Moneylife, for inviting me. I would like to begin. I would like to share a small presentation. I would begin by sharing some of my thoughts about the financial sector in whole, and then specifically about the work which I have done in the banking sector. So as we can see, the financial industry is the biggest industry in the world, and also it is the most regulated industry. But still, it is very much prone to mismanagement, to scams, as we have seen over the years. I mean, in India also and globally also. What comprises of financial sector? It is the primarily banks, insurance, stock market, which includes your regular stock market as well as mutual funds. So all these come together, and this industry is trillions of dollars worth industry. So you can imagine and it affects everybody from common man to the biggest corporates in the world. As I said, it is the most regulated industry. So in India, as I said, it is the most regulated industry, and we have slew of regulators in India also, starting with Reserve Bank, which is the regulator for banking industry as a whole, SEBI, which is the regulator for the stock markets, for mutual funds, IRDA, which is the regulator for the insurance industry. We have a new regulator in Pension Fund Development Agency. And also we have industry regulators, which are the institutes of chartered accountants, company secretaries, so on and so forth. And also we have a mini regulator of stock exchanges, which is National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange. We have Commodities Exchange, so on and so forth. So I mean, these are the slew of regulators, and all these regulators, they work in their own silos. Let us start with SEBI, and I have tried doing some work with SEBI also, and I find that SEBI is one of the most non-transparent regulators. And an example of them is the consent orders. Nobody knows how the consent orders and the amounts which are mentioned in the consent orders are arrived at. Then we have, if you file an RTI request with SEBI, most of the requests are rejected under Section 81D, 81E, 81H, so on and so forth. We know the fate of complaints of investors. They are not acted upon for a long time. Probably you will hear from SEBI about their complaint 2, 3, 4 years later on. Most of the time it acts as post office, and SEBI is also supposed to have an investor protection fund. I mean, last we heard it was worth about 600 crores, which is woefully inadequate when we see the humongous amounts of funds are raised in the primary and secondary markets. And just a thought that can we have a mechanism to have a small percentage of the fundraising which can be apportioned towards IPF, whenever there is a secondary and a primary market fundraising. Same is with insurance industry regulator IRD, again non-transparent working. Again, example is consent orders. Most information requests are rejected under 81D, 81H, and etc. We have seen many times that the insurers change their products and premium under file and use mechanism of IRDA, and insurance buyers like all of us are suddenly faced with the stark reality of premiums going up suddenly and coverages changing, and especially this is felt by the senior citizens. Stock exchanges, National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange, again non-transparent regulators. They are not covered under RTI. We have seen various issues such as co-location, recently Anugrah, unsolicited messages. When I was researching, I saw that National Stock Exchange is just one script under a watch list, but there are several scripts which are under the control of the so-called operators, and which leave many gullible investors high and dry. Recently, I had a friend who faced a similar situation. Pension funds, this market is not so matured, so probably the issues are not so complex, or they are not yet out in open. Not much information is available in public domain. And now coming to our banking sector regulator, which is the Reserve Bank of India. Reserve Bank of India, I would like to divide Reserve Bank of India into two eras, which is pre-RTI and post-RTI. Pre-RTI, Reserve Bank of India used to operate under the cloak of secrecy. We have seen multiple bank failures over the last 50 years. The regulatory, although RBI is supposed to be the banking sector regulator, its regulatory oversight has been questionable. And RBI issues so many circulars that it is humanly impossible, not only for citizens, but it is very, very difficult for the bankers also to keep tracks of the circular and the amendments to circular. Also, it has recently come to light that there are several circulars which are issued by RBI which are not placed in public domain, and RBI refuses to place them in public domain under self-declared rules. So now let us come to RBI and post RTI. The beginning of the post RTI era was started in 2006, when the inspection report of a bank, of a cooperative bank, was sought in 2006. As expected, RBI did not provide this information, and the case went up to CIC, and the CIC ordered the disclosure. After the CIC ordered the disclosure, the Deputy Governor of RBI wrote to CIC saying that disclosure will not be in the economic interest of the country. And strangely, CIC decided, suo motu decided to review its own decision, and a full bench was constituted, and it decided that RBI is entitled to claim exemptions under Section 81A and 81E, and this report was never disclosed to anybody. But things changed in 2012 when an activist became the information commissioner and Shailesh Gandhi ordered disclosure of audit and inspection reports of the banks and also ordered to give details of defaulters and details of fines and show cause notices among other things. RBI, as expected, did not want to share any information and they challenged the orders of CIC in high courts in Delhi and Bombay, which was subsequently transferred to Supreme Court of India. Fortunately, the Supreme Court of India decided in favor of disclosure. In a slew of cases, there were about 12 cases which are popularly known as Reserve Bank of India versus Jayanti Lal Mistry and others in December 2015. As expected, RBI did not like this order of Supreme Court, and they again did not disclose the inspection report for another 2 years. Uh, I filed a contempt petition in Supreme Court in 2017, and on 26/4/2019, the Supreme Court held RBI guilty of contempt in the case, which is titled as Girish Mittal versus Parvati Sundaram and others. This started the disclosure, and and they did release some sketchy details of inspection reports of some banks, which have been extensively published by Moneylife, and I'm sure many of you would have read the excellent reportage by Moneylife. But the information shared was sketchy. No information was shared about who did the inspections, how the inspections were carried out. All the reports which are disclosed are unsigned till date, and they are without any names. RBI believes that sharing the names of inspectors would endanger the lives of those auditors or inspectors or whatever you call them. And till date, they have not released any name of any inspection. I mean, I fail to understand how can the inspection report work without any names. But the challenge continues. RBI continues to deny the information. Then RBI and some banks came together and they surreptitiously obtained stay on disclosure in December 2019. They approached again the Supreme Court without making many of us who were party in the original case without making us party, and they obtained a stay on disclosure in December 2019. We have filed a petition to recall that order, and it is being hotly contested in Supreme Court. We have army of banks on one side with the best of senior counsels at their disposal. I saw names of Harish Salve also, and I'm sure the banks are paying him a large sum to protect that. So the battle continues, and the next date is in November 2020. I'm sure I would like to thank Prashant Bhushan and his team who is helping us the citizens to fight the army of banks who are pitted against the citizens of this country. So I'm sure we will come out victorious as we have done in past. So all this continues while we are having problems with banking sector. Several banks have failed. City Cooperative Bank recently. We had PMC Bank failing, and this continues, and there is no end to all the hapless depositors who have lost the money in banks, where banks was supposed to be the safest of the options for investors and depositors. But some other information, RBI is now slowly becoming little more transparent. RBI is sharing at least the agenda and some of the action points of the minutes of its central board, which is available on the website of RBI. but private banks continue to be outside the domain of transparency. They are not defined as public authority under RTI Act, which has been also confirmed in the Supreme Court, one of the Supreme Court decisions, which is there on the screen. Now, recently, we have seen State Bank of India almost acquiring Yes Bank and becoming the largest shareholder. So, it's a question which is open whether Yes Bank is a public authority. I am not sure how amenable Yes Bank is now to share the information, but it would be an interesting case to take it forward. There is a very important clause in the RTI Act, which is the section 812, which says that even if the information is exempt from the disclosure under the law, if the disclosure is in public interest, the information in question shall be disclosed. There is a huge public interest in all the in all the financial services, in all the financial regulators, because this affects almost all citizens of this country. So it is my humble submission that all the financial service regulators should, including the stock exchange, should be brought under RTI Act, and many of these are still outside the domain of the Right to Information Act. And things can change only if there is a large public movement, if people come forward, people people write to the governments, people write to our courts, people approach the courts. There is only and only if there is a large public movement, we will have changed that all financial services regulatory agencies, all financial service providers also should be brought under the domain of the RTI Act. As Supreme Court has said recently that sunlight is the best disinfectant, I would like to add to that transparency is the best regulator. Only things can change only when there is transparency in all the decision makings. Thank you, friends. This is all what I had to say at the beginning, and we will take up the question answers later on.
Thank you, Giriji. Thanks for the nice presentation. May I now request our second speaker, Mr. Vivek Velankar, to take over. Vivekji, over to you.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I put my sincere thanks to Money Life Foundation for giving me this opportunity. Well, just a background of the topic. 6 months ago, there was a lot of discussions throughout the country about the write-off of banks. And it was stated, I mean, there was a lot of political discussions, and some political parties were saying that banks are giving write-off of big lenders, and then so on and so forth. And then government side as well as from Bhakta side, there was an argument going on that no, write-off is not waiving off. Write-off is just a technical write-off. It is just to do some corrections in the balance sheet. But these return of loans are not waived off. Banks continue recovering these loan amounts. And with the new acts coming in, it will be seen to it that no amount will be waived off. And a lot of these things, a lot of articles and everything, but none had any figures. That what happened in last couple of years. None had any figures. So I thought this is just going on theoretical exercise. So why not try and find out? If the figures are not coming out, that means there is something fishy. So I said, let's try out. So I first put my RTI to SBI. I thought it's the biggest bank, so why not put RTI to SBI? SBI gave me a very strange answer. They showed me I just asked that please give me the list of defaulters whose loans have been written off and the loan amounts are above 100 crores. And also how much was that loan, and then how much recovery was done subsequent to the writing off. Well, SBI gave me a very good answer that they showed me section 7(9), that it's a very big information and collating this information is not possible, vagera, vagera, vagera. Actually, 7(9) is not denial. 7(9), they should have asked me to come down and inspect the information. But all banks are using 7(9) as an exemption clause. I think either they are misinformed or they are deliberately doing it. So I received this answer, then I thought what to do, because first appeal, second appeal is going to take at least a year. So I thought, let me try one more way. I am a shareholder of SBI. I am a small shareholder, but still a shareholder. So AGM was coming for SBI, and then they announced that people can ask questions and they can send us the questions in advance, then we can send them the answers also. So I put these questions as a shareholder question to SBI. Till earlier day of AGM, didn't receive anything. But I also said in that I want to speak. So AGM, I got a call from their secretary department checking if I'm really interested in speaking, and then how the arrangements have been done for online speaking and all that. Then I asked a question, what happened to my information? Again in the afternoon, somebody called me to check all this. I again asked him what happened to my information, because tomorrow's meeting, I want this information. Then I don't know what worked, maybe pressure, maybe something, because I said मैं तो हल्ला गुल्ला करने वाला हूँ मीटिंग में कल, क्योंकि आप मेरे को 3 हफ्ता पहले पूछ के भी इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दे रहे हो. Morning 8 o'clock, I got the information from SBI. It was stunning. I am sure it was given by mistake. They gave me a list of 225 big defaulters above 100 crores whose loans were written off to the tune of 1,23,000 crores by SBI in last 8 years. They gave me a complete breakup of each account, that particular account, when it was written off, how much was recovery done till 31st March 2020, and so on and so forth. So that information was really stunning. And during AGM, obviously, they didn't give me any chance to speak, because at 1 o'clock they wind up the AGM saying that there are a couple of people who are still asked to ask questions. We request them to send us in writing, so we will answer them. So immediately I put this information in public domain, that this is what is the stunning information. That day evening, I got a call from, because this news spread like anything, because social media works. That day evening itself, I got a call from company secretary, and he asked me, from where you got this information? I said, you only give me the information. He said, no, which email address? I verified it. I said, sir, it's your email address. He said, but I'm not seeing it in my outbox. I said, but I'm seeing it in my inbox. And then I'm sure that he must have been taken left, right, and center by the management, by the board. And I don't know what happened. He kept quiet. But just within a month's time, it may be, kya bolte hai usko, yoga ayog. In a month's time, this company secretary and associate vice president of SBI resigned. I don't say it's because of this case, but it may be because of this case also. But within 1 month, why he resigned, we don't know. That was a news item in the media also. Then I tried the same thing with Bank of Baroda, whose AGM was immediately planned next, and I had some shares. And then after that, immediately Maharashtra Bank. Bank of Baroda, again, I said, I want the information and I want to speak in the AGM. I spoke in the AGM, I got the information, which again I published. But the Maharashtra Bank also, I got the information, I published it. But then I thought that I don't have shares with other banks. Then why not to put RTI once again? So I now reframed the RTI. I asked them 6 questions. First question, how much total write-off was done in last 8 years? And how much total recovery was done in last 8 years? Then I asked them how much write-off was done for 100 crores and above lenders, and how much money was recovered in last 8 years. And last two questions, names of those people whose write-off has been done. One after another banks started giving me answer, and they are very, it's horrible, I would say. Union Bank first to respond. First of all, again use 7-9 that we can't give you information. They said for the total write-off and recovery, go and refer our annual reports on our website. I went to their annual report. 190, 200 pages annual report, and such 8 years annual reports, they were asking me to read and find out from there, if I can, how much write-off was done and how much was recovered. I was really sad because how can I don't know anything in banking. How can I read such a, and then it's so technical report, but then I still tried, and then it works. And I found out there are only two tables in all banks reports. One is movement of NPAs and second is movement of write-offs. So I found out those tables and found out the total write-off information, but they denied this 100 crores and above write-off information under section 7.9. Again, 7.9 is not a rejection clause, still they used it left, right and center. And then they used section 8.1D, commercial confidence, for not giving me names of those 100 crores and above defaulters whose loans have been written off. 8.1D again is a wrong gesture because there is no commercial confidence. A small loan defaulter, if he defaults, his property is on sale and banks publish advertisements in newspapers giving his name, his address, his property details, his loan amount, and they auction the property. So if it's a 8.1D, it has to apply to all. So whether it's a small, whether it's a big, it should not matter. But banks don't care for that. So I went into first appeal. Union Bank again gave me same, after 45 days, they gave me answer that no, whatever CPI has said is correct. 7.9 as well as 8.1D were upheld by their appellate officer. And then now I'm approaching CIC. I know it's going to take 6-8 months, but I have no other option than to approach CIC. Then came IDBI. Again, IDBI gave no information. They said I should check it on website for total write-off and recovery. And then they said that above 100 crore, again 7.9. I don't know whether all CPIs of all banks have a club or what. So they come in contact with each other and they have a WhatsApp group. I don't know what's happening because everybody's answer is more or less same. And then IDBI was more smart. They used all exemptions for avoiding names: 8.1D, 8.1E, 8.1Z. Fiduciary, commercial confidence, and individual information. All possible exemptions. Thank God they have not used 8.1A also. But they denied. I have put my appeal to them. First appeal again, same answer. Only thing what they gave me in first appeal is 100 crore above how much loans were written off. Some 16,000 or something figure is that. Nothing more they gave in first appeal. Now again I have to approach for CIC. Then came PNB, Punjab National Bank, the great Punjab National Bank, who is in discussion for last 2-3 years. They said we have only information for 4 years. For all. Total write-off and total recovery, and then 100 crore write-off and 100 crore recovery. And they gave me information only for 4 years. When I visited their website, now I am expert in that. I visited their website, I found out that there are annual reports of 10 years. And in those annual reports, total write-off and total recovery is already there. But under RTI, they said only 4 years is available. So that means they are not interested to do anything beyond 4 years. all those written off has gone into veins. It means that. And again, denied names of the defaulters under 81D, 81E, and 81Z. Nothing is given for names. Then came IOB, that is Indian Overseas Bank. They are more smart. They took 50 days to answer RTI. And what answer? They said, look at our website to get the total amount. And then further they said all other things, 100 crores and above write-off, 100 crores and above recovery, and names of the defaulters. They have quoted section 7.9. They never quoted a section 8. They quoted section 7.9, and it's a legal officer. So he was more smart. So he quoted Bandyopadhyay versus CIC judgment. And out of that, out of context, he cut out 3 sentences, wherein Supreme Court has said that if 75% of staff is wasting 75% of time for giving information, then that such information need not be given. I don't know, entire IOB, 75% of staff and 75% of time will be required to just give me the information, then how are they going to recover that amount? It's ridiculous, but this answer was given. Then came Central Bank of India. They were better. They gave every other information than names. But here they quoted 81Z, personal information, so cannot be given. Then came Canara Bank. Canara Bank was again smart. They said visit our website for total write-off and recovery. And then above 100 crores is information is not maintained. That's what is their answer. If they don't maintain that information, how do they recover? God only will know, and God only will save them. And again, names, same 81Z, personal information. And then came UCO Bank. UCO Bank took 73 days to answer the RTI and never mentioned why they took so much time. At least the earlier example of IOB, they at least mentioned that staff was less because of lockdown days. That UCO Bank never took that efforts also, 73 days. And again, names were denied under 81D and 81E. Another 2-3 banks information is yet to come. But what is important here is banks are absolutely non-transparent. They don't want to give information, especially when it comes to names. I don't know what's the problem, because if SBI can share the names, maybe accidentally, I don't know. But they have shared the names. What is the issue with other banks? Why are they not sharing? And most importantly, about this 100 crores and above, they are still not sharing under 81D and 81E. This is something ridiculous. They are supposed to recover those amounts. So they should have separate ledger for that. But they are not able to give that information. In fact, they are not interested in giving the information. Whatever information has come into light is horrible. The claims which were made that we will recover every amount which is written off, it seems that the amount recovery is not more than 10%. In that, horrible is SBI 7%, Bank of Baroda 5%, Bank of Maharashtra 4%, Central Bank of India 7%, UCO Bank 5%. This is the level of recovery, and they say we recover. So that has beyond doubt proved that what they claimed, even government claimed, that the amount written off is not amount waived off. It means 90% is waived off. Unfortunately, names के लिए मेरे को लड़ना पड़ेगा CIC तक. I don't know what will happen with CIC, because the CIC who are being appointed currently, we know what sort of appointments are done. So I don't know what will happen. Then again, we'll have to approach High Court and Supreme Court. So for next 10 years, I am sure the names will not come. Well, that's all what I wanted to share. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Vivek ji. That was a fantastic effort. So we'll just take up the questions. But before opening the floor to everybody, I have a simple question to both to you and Girish ji as well. So if you can answer that. Many times, I mean, you had also found that, and I also gone through that thing. So every time we ask some question to the bank or the RBI, the most common excuse is used by both all of them is fiduciary relations and commercial confidence. So how to deal with that?
See, my understanding will be there will have to these things will have to go up to CIC, and then hopefully CIC will thrash it out. जैसे शैलेश जी ने किया था एक दो cases में, but they are not taking that as a predecessor. They every time use again same excuse. They want every case to go to CIC. And every time CIC needs to tell them that this is not fiduciary, this is not commercial confidence. Unfortunately, there is no penalty for repeating the mistake. First time I can understand, but second time, how can they say same thing? I think it's now the onus is on CIC to penalize left, right, and center all these CPIs who are trying to make shield of this 81D, 81E, and 81Z.
Girish ji?
Yeah, I agree with Vivek ji. I mean, it is unfortunate that for everything and anything, they just claim that this information is exempt without giving any reasoned order that why this information is exempt. They just write two lines. This information is exempt under 81A, B, C, D, E, F. जो मन आता है वो लिख देते हैं. And then you have to keep fighting. It goes to the appellate authority. The appellate authority sits next to the CPIO. He only drafts the reply of the appellate authority. If you see any information where the appeal order coming from bank, it will have a signature below the signature of the appellate authority, which means that it has been drafted by somebody else. The appellate authority just blindly signs, and it is sent. And what will you do now? You will go to CIC. CIC में 2 साल लगेगा, 2.5 साल लगेगा, 3 साल लगेगा. You don't know. And CIC also responds. Different CICs responds in a different manner. I'll tell you an interesting case of CIC. I had 2 appeals together on the same subject. In one appeal, the same commissioner, the recently retired chief commissioner, he gave an order which was based on the precedence of the full bench order of the CIC. And in another case on the same subject, he said, no, this information cannot be disclosed, and this information, whatever the public authority is saying, is correct. I mean, how can you give a different orders at the same time or in 2 different appeals? So we have to keep fighting. I mean, if the banking regulator does not obey Supreme Court, what do you expect of the bank?
Absolutely.
We have to keep fighting. That is the only solution I see.
Okay. Just in continuation to what Vivek ji had said, I mean, he had been sharing all the information with us, and we're putting it out in public domain about the bank's bad loan write-offs. So I'll just share the data. I mean, SBI has written off bad loans of 1.23 crore, and they had just recovered 7% of that. Then Bank of Baroda had written off almost 21,476 crore, and they had recovered just 5%. Next is Bank of Maharashtra. Bank of Maharashtra wrote off 7,402 crore, and they had just recovered 4%. And Union Bank of India, they wrote off 26,072 crore rupees, but they failed to share any information on the recovery efforts. IDBI Bank, which has now become a private bank after this stake sale. So IDBI Bank has written off some 45,693,000 crore rupees, and they are just recovered 8%. Punjab National Bank wrote off some 31,966 crore, but their recovery is 22%. Indian Overseas Bank, it wrote off some 41,392 crore and recovered 17%. And last is the UCO Bank. It wrote off some 25,266 crores and recovered just 7%. And what I had told about these figures, it's only for the big loan account that's 100 crore rupees and more. I'm not, I mean, we are not even talking about the small borrowers, but these big borrowers, it's a big chunk of our money. It's the money of the customers. And this is the condition. So how to take it forward? Using RTI, I mean, how can we
One,
bring out all the information transparently? They don't share the names.
So I
It is the
have
one
biggest
more,
concern.
one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I would,
after Mr. Velankar.
I would just like to add one more thing. If they have written off some 4 lakh crores, government with our money has pumped in some 2.5 lakh crores in last 3-4 years as a capital in these banks.
Yes.
So they're writing off. On the other hand, our money is going as a capital into those banks. So it's our money. It's not only customers' money. It's every Indian citizen's money is being put into these banks and they are just throwing it into the dustbin.
Okay, so I want to start first of all by thanking Mr. Vivek Velankar and Girish Mittal. Both of you have done such a service to us as a society and especially as bank depositors. I have two questions for you. So one, of course, Mr. Velankar, I think what you've done is so tremendous because every single person who dared to say that this amount is written off was badly trolled by the digital media machines of the government, including by the finance ministers to say, and top economists who are on their advisory committees have been hammering at people and making it out like we are fools for saying that that money will never be recovered. You have got the numbers, put them in the public domain, and once and for all silence them. Now we don't, ever since we started this series, you wrote it, we have carried it all in Money Life. I must mention to the audience that all these articles are there in Money Life. It has completely silenced them. We don't hear anyone saying, yes, we are recovering the write-offs. You made it very clear that it doesn't happen. Where Mr. Mittal is concerned, you know, what I notice from a lot of people is that because you have gone and fought this tremendously all the way to the Supreme Court, the RBI seems to reply at least to your questions, which is why we got the inspections of City Cooperative Bank, PMC Bank, and the four big ones, ICICI, SBI, which we wrote about in Money Life. Is it your experience also that it is because of your name that we are getting answers, partly badly redacted, you know, a lot of it hidden, but something comes out? And then what that something is, as you said in your talk, doesn't make much sense. So the whole bankers lobby, which is the Indian Banks Association, when on one hand they are arguing that, you know, this information will be bad for banks to have in the public domain. In fact, the RBI is not giving anything. They're not giving the name of the inspection report. Anybody who is a name, which is either a company or an individual, is blacked out before it's given. So banks have nothing to worry about if that is the form of inspection report that comes out. But even that is not coming out. Is it your experience? I'm sure you've got a lot more feedback than us that it is you who are getting it. Others are not even getting that much. I'd like both of you to react.
I do not know if others are not getting it. I'm sure they consider me as an equally small fry as anybody else. I mean, the RBI is a mammoth organization. They have got vast resources, and you know, all of us who are trying to do some work in this are individuals, and we have very limited resources at our disposal. I mean, it is I think more than us, I think the credit is to people like Prashant Bhushan and his team, who are successfully who are defending this our weak turf in Supreme Court, and it is only because of this little bit danda of Supreme Court that RBI is giving this information. Perhaps I think what RBI is observing is that I am not giving up, and I am going up again and again to Supreme Court, that they are giving this, they are sharing little bit of information what they are sharing
Okay.
it only to me.
That's a feedback we've been getting. People are writing that to us. But anyway, it's good to hear. Vivekji, you have any comments?
I think what observation you made is perfect. That since last 2 months, these figures have started coming in public domain. Not a single person, including ministry, RBI and all Bhakta Mandali, not a single person has tried to counter it because they have no weapon to counter it. Figures are figures and they are on the bank letterheads. So this thing has definitely proved that if you are with facts and figures, all these people have to shut their mouth up. Secondly, problem with banks, what I have seen, because with SBI story came in all media and it was so blown up that all banks were very cautious. But they had no option because if they don't give information, still it's a problem. If they give information, still it's a problem. And in that catch-22, I think some have given information, some have not given information.
Okay. We have one suggestion from Rajesh Kapoor. He says that one should try to find out how many of these cases recovery suits have been outstanding in the cases or recovery suits have been filed to recover the loans and other things. So that can be done. I think if some people from this group.
No,
Vivekji?
let me share that. SBI, because they gave me information before AGM. So after AGM, I still had one chance to ask the information because they didn't allow me to speak. I asked for this information, that whether you have a separate sale for recovery, how many cases you have taken to NCLT and other courts, how much property have you attached, and then how much expenditure you did for all this activity of recovery. They sent me as a shareholder also. Under RTA, same answer will come. They sent me an answer saying that this is a granular information which we don't maintain. So I'm sure under RTA, same answer will come.
Okay. Mr. Salim Sheikh has raised his hand. Mr. Sheikh, can you unmute yourself and speak?
Yes, I'm laudable.
Yes.
Yes. See, first of all, I thank Mr. Mittalji and Vivek Velankarji for their hard effort to obtain information from the bank. My request to all Vivek Velankarji and Mittalji is that banks have very less fear of CIC because CICs are being appointed through the pool of bureaucrats, ex-bureaucrats. So my request to Velankarji and this Mittalji is that all activists should put pressure government to make the appointment of judicial officers in CIC, that is retired Supreme Court offices. Then CIC become fruitful. Otherwise, it is a toothless body because CIC takes nearly 2-3 years to take decisions. By the time that information becomes outdated, and the very purpose of RTI Act is totally defeated. So CIC has become like a press council of India. So,
Mr. Sheikh, what you have raised is a very favorite issue with Mr. Sailesh Gandhi. I think he's also here. Maybe he will be able to answer this for you. Sailesh, want to speak?
I think what Girish and Vivek have done are fantastic work. But let's also understand that this kind of fantastic work can't be done continuously by citizens. And I think what they are talking of shows the fact that the PIOs are so sure that it will take 2 to 3 years even before it reaches the commission, and they are almost sure that the commission is not going to rule in their favor. As far as the Supreme Court case that Girish mentioned, if you really observe the Supreme Court's orders, etc., The Supreme Court is actually legitimizing not listening to its own order, earlier order of December 2015, which is sad. But I think there are two clear things that come out. A, we need to focus, is my submission. We need to focus on getting better commissioners, a process of getting commissioners. There's no process today, it's an arbitrary exercise. We need to fight for getting a process. B, we need to battle to get all information commissions to give decisions within the reasonable period of time. The present state of affairs is completely unacceptable. But if this continues, I think we are in trouble. And the third is, we must insist on proper interpretation of the law. We have one of the best laws in the world, but we are not getting it interpreted properly by PIOs, by commissioners and courts. And we need to work on this front. If we do that, maybe we can reclaim most of the power and potential of the RTI Act. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Velankar has something to say on this?
See, basically, what I would like here is that if there is a public voice on this, that information must come in public domain on websites of the banks. RTI is not required. ये जो information है इसमें क्या है private? All this information should come in public domain on the websites, including names of the defaulters, and then all this issue can be resolved. I am sure why they are not giving the names, because whatever names are appearing in SBI list, you will find 50% of the names appearing in all banks list. And then the question will get arised that how come all banks gave loan to the same entity when a common man cannot get a loan from two banks also? So they don't want this question to come up, but if this information is coming in public domain, I am sure that is going to help in real transparency.
We have Vijay B. Can you unmute yourself? Vijay B?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I go through all the newspapers and this kind of a very intricate kind of a maze of legal opinions on all these things. What I feel is that when the things are very obvious, why the courts are not taking so much cognizance of the things and giving direct orders? That is my basic question to ask for all these things, because these processes, when the process comes, there are some bureaucrats, there are some laws, there are some interpreters, and they take a lot of time and waste people's resources for all these things. And I feel very sorry about it. Why the things can't be more transparent at the starting point?
Okay, I think Girishji can answer that, taking matter to the courts. I mean, whether it's very easy or cheap method.
I think what he is talking about is Ram Rajya. We live in Kalyug, so I don't see that happening any time. I don't think it is happening in my lifetime. So I think we will have to keep struggling. The only thing which will make a difference is more people coming forward, more people raising questions, more people attending public forums, writing to the authorities. I mean, today we have Shailesh Gandhi. Shailesh Gandhi was talking about process of appointment of information commissioner, but there is no process of anything in this country right now. I mean, everything is remote control, managed from one office. I mean, so I mean, information commissioners don't come in their list of 100 things to do. So we are unless we have an active citizenry, things are not going to change. We are going to lament the way we are doing it. The banks are will continue to be infused with public funds. Many depositors will keep losing money in this bank, that bank. Yes Bank was saved, but I mean, RBI has been regularly inspecting, auditing Yes Bank for for so many years. I mean, why could not they catch it earlier? I mean, all these questions will remain unanswered unless we have an active citizenry. It's good to sit in drawing rooms and lament that they are supposed to do this and they are not doing it. But unless we take up the cudgels ourselves, things are not going to change. So let us, instead of expecting others to do things, let us start doing things on our own. Try to do a change a little bit here and there. That I think that will make our society a much better society than what we are.
I would like to add one more thing here, because I was really surprised when after this SBI story happened. I thought that hundreds of RT applications will get floated on all banks. Ki bhaiya, they have information. But it seems that it has become like my monopoly. That only my applications are going and only I get the information. This is really bad. There should have been 1,000 applications putting on each bank and they should have been flooded, and that would have made a change. Ki bhaiya, sabko kahan se answer de, kuch to kare. But one person, they can easily kick him out.
Exactly, and we are talking about our money. If we are not concerned about our money, I mean, what will we be concerned about?
Absolutely.
That is a very good observation and suggestion. I mean, we call it as a carpet bombing, and that really works if everybody joins the effort and file on their own. What I found is that many people think that they can just copy paste the queries of RTA and then they can just file. But I don't think it will work in such a manner. But even saying that, if it is possible for you to share your questions on the public forum, the queries that you had asked for the banks.
I think majority of your stories which are published on Money Life have all this questions and answers also. So it's all there in public domain. There is no need to share once more.
Right. Rajesh Kapoor had made one observation. What he's saying is that banks are all on computerized system or CBS system. So why they found it difficult to give the information, collect the data and give information, because it's all computerized. Why it's not happening?
See, it's not question of computerized data or not. It's a question of will. They are not willing. See, they have the information. If you go through SBI information, it's so beautifully done information. I am sure all banks will have that information. But they don't want to share it. And then computers can't do anything. Computers cannot share the information. It is persons behind the computers who need to share the information, and their mentality is still not that.
Giriji, you would like to comment?
Yeah, it is simple for them to say, this information is exempt under 81D, 81E, 81H. Now the ball is in your court. You fight with the first appellate authority. You fight with CIC. 2-3 साल निकल गया उसके अंदर. I mean, it is, as Mr. Velankar rightly said, it is the unwillingness of people to be transparent. That is the biggest challenge which we are facing. If there is transparency everywhere, then they cannot do all kinds of things which they are doing currently. So it is, as Mr. Velankar rightly said, it is the will and the wish of those people who are behind the computers to share the information.
Here, I would like to add one more thing. It's not will and wish of the CPIO. It is the will and wish of the director board.
Of the management.
Because CPIO is a small fry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is director board who is responsible. And the SBI example, the way that CS, a director board person, had to resign, I think all others have learned from that. Nothing doing here, chhod do, kuch karna nahi hai. That's very bad.
We also have Vijay Kumar and Bhaskar Prabhu, both stalwart RTI activists from Mumbai and Pune. So I would like to have them comment on this. Vijayji?
I would like to tell that, of course, I have not done much work on the Reserve Bank of India, but I think it's only the people intervention will only help make the governments to come out of it. The other matter is that nowadays there is a lot of conflict between the political parties, and conflict of interest is also there. So we also inform all political parties and the about the current situation of all banks and the non-recovery made. Maybe that today or tomorrow that may become an issue, because other issue is also getting racked up, and with that this issue can happen. So now the activism needs to now also take into consideration for activism for doing the work. It is not necessary that every person should join the political party to make a politics. It is also possible that we play politics of transparency, play politics of publishing all the required matter, and that's what we all have to do. I think we should shame those also political parties who do not take this as a serious matter. That is what I think. So, thank you.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, yes.
Yogesh ji? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I just remember one example in Jawahar district. Adivasis are there. They were troubled by some Tahsildar or Talati or somebody, I don't know. 700 Adivasis filed same RTI application at a time. And then he was on his toes and he solved the problem. We are at least 15 crore depositors with banks. If 1 crore applications go to each bank, I'm sure banks will stop other work and put this into public domain.
Yes, yes, that exactly will happen. But we have to take initiative. Everybody has to file at least one RTI to one bank. That
Yes.
will work. It will work fantastically. It will give us a good results. One question is there, but it is about role of auditors. So I'm not taking that. One comment come from Suresh Sarda. He says that banks publish names of small size defaulters and in newspapers. So can it be asked to banks that under which section those names were published, and under our same RTI, can supplementary question be asked for name of large size defaulters under the same section?
Can be tried. Can be tried.
Yeah. Vivekji had tried that, but the banks had refusing to share the information on these things. I think Vinita is there. Vinita, you would like to make a comment? Vinita is our consulting editor of Money Life and one of the prominent RTI activists from Pune. Vinita, your comment?
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Vivek Velankar ji. He's really gets after the banks through RTI. But here I would just like to mention what he said is right, that everyone expects that 2-3 activists should take on the entire nation, all the bankers, and things should be fine. So I would like to give an example of the Money Life article that I wrote, where Mr. Sharad Phadke, a gentleman, an ordinary gentleman, he's no more now, who was not even an activist, he took up the matter when in his ATM, instead of 1,000 rupees, which he got, 2,000 rupees were debited. And he had to go from pillar to post to Bank of India, but nobody bothered. Finally, he used the RTI application where he saw a circular in the Reserve Bank of India which stated if the bank does not credit the money in 12 days, then the bank has to pay a penalty of 100 rupees per day. And by the time he went after them, it was almost 45 days. He just gave the RTI application, and within 7 days, he had 6,500 rupees back, which is 1,500 plus 5,500. I may be mistaken in the amount here and there, but he got that much credited into his bank account. And thereafter, he campaigned with several banks, you know. So an ordinary person through RTI can actually take on the bank, but they want to shoot from other people's shoulders, like the shoulders of Mr. Vivek Velankar or anybody else. So I think that There is enough public awareness. There is enough of information. There are enough of activists like even Mr. Vivek Velankar, Vijay Kumar, everyone who are ready, Money Life, which is ready to support and empower citizens. But they just believe in just sitting at home and cribbing within the walls. And I think unless that changes at the micro level, we cannot have a change at the macro level. But congrats to Velankar ji and others here who really take up this bank issue. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. We also have Mr. Prahlad Kasre who had worked in the. So, Mr. Kasre, you would like to comment?
Yes, sir. Really, thanks to Money Life Foundation and Vivek ji and Mittal, both are the role model of informed citizenry. In fact, we should learn from them. And unless there is a public pressure, as rightly said by Vivek Velankar, example of Raigad. Last week only in RTI Katta Pune, I heard one Raigad RTI activist speaking that RTI boards who are the PIOs, who are appellate authorities and where to deposit money was not published. So at a time, then there were applications. Now they just send WhatsApp. 25 people sent WhatsApp and they just warn them, tomorrow we'll be coming to your office. But before they reached, action was there and all the boards are displayed. So I think people's pressure, public pressure is the very important. And very few are working. These two are working in financial sector, that is banking sector. There may be many, but these are the really role models. And I once again thank Money Life for bringing them in such a public forum and highlighting the success story. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Hemant would like to ask a question.
Yeah, I would like to ask you one question. As Mr. Vivek Velankar and Mr. Mittal have said that you should have a provision under the RTI and all those things. Now, we have a methodology whereby in the balance sheet you show the movement of various profits or ESOPs and all those things. Similarly, can we have a methodology whereby we have a presentation in the balance sheet itself where we show the opening balance, the advances given, the write-offs, the recoveries made, and the closing balance on a year-on-year basis, so that the question of RTI doesn't arise and the information is automatically available in the public domain. Thank you.
To be frank with you, yes, it's not balance sheet, it's annual report of the bank where they have every year a table in every annual report, movement of NPAs and movement of write-offs. But there, it's a consolidated figure. We are interested to know about big people, 100 crores and above. उनका क्या हुआ? उनके पैसे कितने हैं और कितने recover हुए? And secondly, the names of the people. That doesn't come in that annual report.
Yes. I think Mr. Hemant has one.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 minute. In fact, I had said the same thing, that you need to disclose the names of the parties who are owing more than 100 crores. And so that the information is automatically, just the way you have information of the holding company, subsidiary company, and associate company. So in that format, if you can give it, that would be more precise and accurate information that will put a pressure on the auditors also.
Correct, but who will bail the cat? That's a problem.
Yes. We have one question from Mukul. He says that he has recently denied daily ATM audit report by bank. And is there any new rule? Because he says he has been granted the same information in old RTIs, but he has received paper instead of money from ATM, but denied the dispute continuously. I mean, the bank is not giving him the information on that. So is there any change in the rule or something?
I don't see there is any change in any rules. I mean, this is a specific issue, and we will have to look at the specific issue, what information he had asked and why they denied the information.
Yes. So Mr. Mukul, you can send us a mail at foundation@moneylife.in, and then we'll forward it to Mr. Mittal and Mr. Velankar, and we'll explore what are the options. I mean, how you can get the information correctly. Anyone else?
Yogesh sir, I would like to share something that we have done in our own foundation as part of the articles that we've been writing. So I think both our speakers have shared about how much they don't get information. So my colleague and I, we filed an RTI with the IT department, and we have been getting information for the past 7 to 8 months now. And there are at least so many bundles of RTIs that we have received, so just to give a rough estimate, each of them come from different parts of the country, some from UP, some from Kerala. Each particular file, when they send, there's a postage cost involved in that. There's a cost that they have to put to send that RTI to us, the paper format to us. And most of them are just refusals, outright refusals. So the point is, there's a lot of public money that's being wasted on sending us plain papers, just rejecting our applications. Had they computerized all of these things, then we could have saved on a whole lot of money that, you know, they tried sending us all these RTI applications for. And the funny thing is, they've still not stopped coming. Those RTI applications and those physical letters, we're still receiving those from different parts of the country. And similarly for banks also, we had filed 3 sets of RTIs with all the public sector banks, information that they should ideally have on board. And it was not even a private information. It was rather a very simple, straightforward question that we had asked them, that please give us how many numbers, not even names. We had asked them, please give us how many numbers of people are in this bracket. And invariably, a major chunk of the banks refused to give us this information, saying this is private information. So I think the public information officers didn't even read those applications, and they just used A2J, and the onus fell on us, because then we had to go and file the appeal. And then after that, we have to go to the Information Commission. So the end result is that the PIOs can very easily just raise their hands and say, we gave you the information.
I just would like to add one more thing here, that people must use rtionline.gov.in portal, because you can file RTI online 24/7, 365 model. You get answers by online also. I have received all banks' answers on my that portal, which I just downloaded the answer in a PDF form. So whichever department is there, most of the central government departments, banks are on this portal, where we can file RTI application, we can track the RTI application, we can get the answers of the same. It needs to be propagated.
Yes, true. RTI online is a very good portal, but strangely, I mean, the Supreme Court is now talking about e-hearings and all that, but Supreme Court itself is not part of rtionline.gov.in. So, I mean, I asked this question under RTI, so they are saying that we had decided in 2016 to develop our own system, and that is lying where it is since that time.
Okay. We have Mr. Ella Varasu who wants to ask a question. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Good evening. It's a wonderful. This is the first time I'm attending, and thanks to all. And I've got 2 interesting letters received from the CPIO of Indian Bank. Okay. Able to hear, sir?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. The RTI application is dated 9th September 2020. Okay. This was received by the CPIO on 15th September 2020. In the reply letter dated 13th October, the CPIO has informed that the available information will be provided within 4 weeks as per the provisions of RTI Act. I do not know what is the provisions of RTI Act in this regard. Like these 2 replies they have sent.
I think Shailesh sir would be a better person to answer this. Shailesh sir?
Sir, I think he's dropped out of the call. I think he's not here.
Okay.
The RTI Act clearly says that Section 7 clear.
Yes, Giriji, you can speak.
Yeah, okay. The Section 7(1) of RTI Act clearly says that the information has to provide it within 30 days. So, and it is not 30 working days, it is 30 calendar days.
Absolutely.
So, any delay beyond that is punishable. But I mean, it should be okay if they don't give information in 30 days. If they give information in 45 days, that also it is okay, as long as they give the information. You are mute.
Ilivarasu ji, you'll have to unmute yourself.
And there is another provision available in the RTI Act that if the information is available with another public authority, it has to be forwarded within 5 days from the date of receipt of the RTI application, and that has to be immediately informed. So, but this is the available information will be provided within 4 weeks as per provisions of RTI Act. I do not know what is the provisions of RTI Act in this particular case.
The RTI Act is applicable to everybody uniformly.
Exactly.
There is no special provision.
This is not the first time. This is in the recent, within a month, they have replied like this.
Okay. We have Mr. Bhaskar Prabhu who would like to ask a question. Mr. Prabhu?
It's not the question, but I just want to tell that now the central RTI application online is there. They will be also starting a separate tab for information of to be provided in 48 hours for life and liberty. This was just this has been approved, and most probably by coming month they will be also launching over there. That is what I just wanted to tell you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the information. Anyone else? Mr. T.R. Bhatt has raised his hand. Mr. Bhatt, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. Mr. Bhatt is a very senior banker and associated with the bank associations. Mr. Bhatt?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
I compliment both Money Life and also the speakers for organizing this, and very good presentation by Mr. Girish and Mr. Velankar for his perseverance. I must compliment. I would like to share my own experience, which I went through in the public sector bank with regard to collection of data regarding the engagement of consultants, global consultants by public sector banks. I had applied to around 15 public sector banks, excluding State Bank of India, called for simple information, name of the consultants appointed by the bank, the terms of reference, the consultation fee, then the recommendations made by the consultant, then the final one is the status of implementation. These are the five information I had asked. Varying responses came. I think this corroborate whatever experience Velankar and Vivek has shared. Different for the standard questions which I had posed, they gave us different kinds of answers. One bank said they did not engage anybody. That is simple and straight. Another bank passed on the buck. He said, no, we can't give this information. It is fiduciary. It is confidential. Although I had the data with me saying that, quoting the chairman of the respective banks about their intention to engage X, Y, Z as the consultant, and the terms of reference are also available. Despite this, many banks rejected my application. Then I had gone up to the CIC. Now CIC at that time I went only as a sample case, 2 or 3 cases I went on appeal to the CIC. The same information commissioner in X case gives me one order, in Y case gave me a different order. And in the Y case, he said I should go to the central office of the bank, respondent bank, to verify the documents and select the documents which are required. Whereas in the other case, the same CIC, Sudhir Bhargava, I should name him, he passed an order asking the bank to give me the information. They provided me information. Now, why I'm sharing this is, there is a tendency on the part of the bank to not to give this information. Much of this is available in the public domain. Only thing is, what are the fees the banks had paid, what are the status of implementation is not known. These are not available in the public domain. But I did get information from about 8-9 banks about the status of the implementation of the recommendations made by the consultants. But sadly enough, what I found was, despite the engagement of these consultants spending huge amount of money by these public sector banks, including Bank of Baroda, including Union Bank of India, which has now taken over the Corporation Bank, to which I originally belong, Dena Bank, Vijaya Bank, all these banks are engaged. And if the engagement of these the consultants was really meaningful, if the objectives for which the terms of reference, if the terms of reference were really meaningful and they were able to reach them, no bank should have been under loss. No bank should have been undergoing so much of problems like the NPS. Two objectives in most of the cases were to provide strategies for the turning around of the bank. Number two, make them more efficient. What programs could be made? If this were to be successful, if the recommendations of these consultants were to be implemented, there should have been no problem in the bank at all. So through this, when I was able to get some information, of course, I stopped beyond that. I did not go beyond. But on the basis of the data so collected through the RTI from around 10 banks, I was able to arrive at certain findings that this is a wasteful exercise to give money to the global consultants and a lot of public money, which is not only the consultants' fee that the banks are spending, but in implementing them, providing them the data, then implementing the recommendations made. I will conclude with one example. Canara Bank, 15-20 years ago, decided to change their logo on the basis of a consultant's advice. Logo plus their baseline and consequently the name boards, then their letterheads, all these had to change. The fees they paid to the consultants was not much compared to the size. But what I gathered through my own sources, it is not RTI information, was they spent around 600 to 700 crores on changing their name boards, changing the letterheads, and also in implementing many of these things. Is it really necessary? That is how the public sector banks, in the name of changing their strategies, they engage the consultants, but nothing comes out of it. This is one exercise which I had undertaken, and I think that a lot of lessons could be learned out of this. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bhatt, thanks a lot for your input, your detailed information. I mean, what experience you had seen as a banker, and you had shared that what can be done in
Just to
banking
add
also.
to that, isn't it, Mr. Bhatt, that this consultant was connected to a powerful politician?
Yes, it is true, Suchata ji. It was, if I may share, I think the grapevine had it that it was the connection with the former finance minister of the UPA government. There was some connection with him. That is how it was appointed.
Yes.
But
yes.
you'll also find that consultants are engaged by, same consultants are engaged by different banks. They will go to one bank today, tomorrow they will go to another bank. And now they have also started entering the private sector banks. Recently, I found out from the Karnataka Bank Limited in their annual report that they have engaged one of the consultants which had really not contributed anything to the public sector banks. But the shareholders should raise this question in the Karnataka Bank Limited. What are they going to gain by this kind of engaging the consultants?
Thanks, Mr. Bhatt, for your valuable input. With this, we come to an end to our webinar. It was interesting. We got a lot of inputs. We got huge information from Mr. Velankar and Mr. Mittal. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everybody. Thanks to our speaker, Mr. Velankar and Mr. Mittal once again. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.